Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show. It is our Week 15 preview. I am joined by Kyle Dvorchak, Patrick Kerrane, and Denny Carter. I am Patrick Daugherty. I think maybe I already said that.
Probably did.
Had the flu for a little while, but I gutted through it. That's what you do in the modern American economy. And really,
it was only 1 month though.
Yeah, yeah, very brief. It was almost 24-hour bug. Could barely notice I was sick.
Right. It was a 24-day bug, which is almost the same, but it's just
almost the same.
Your immune system is the stuff of legend, dude.
Yeah, I told Denny. It used to be until I had kids. I told Denny I was the classic. I haven't been sick in 20 years. The last time I was sick, I don't even get colds. And then my kids start school, and you're like, "What is the like? I can't even the vial virus." Seems bad, and it feels even worse. But yeah, we're going to talk about all of Week 15 games: the Eagles at the Bears, the Chiefs at the Texans. I'm just reading games. Cowboys at the Jaguars.
You're like trying to fill time, so you literally just read every game.
There are 4 games. We have 4 games totaled under 40 this week. It's quite a week of football we got going on. Quite a weekend.
At least we're fresh, At least we're
quite a weekend of Christmas shopping coming up here too. But Kerrane said he didn't even want to talk about the topic, I think because he is so disastrously behind on Christmas shopping. We all participate, of course, in this capitalistic ritual. How you guys feeling? How you guys doing in your Christmas shopping?
Gift certificates are always a good fallback option. It feels like a gift certificate year for a lot of nieces and nephews.
That's fine, actually. They don't mind. They like money. Danny, have you purchased Christmas gifts for your family?
So my home becomes a pressure cooker of sorts during the holidays because my wife is so on top of the gift buying that it forces me to up my game. I am actually forced. If I don't, I'm so far behind. So my wife likes to be done with Christmas shopping completely by December 10th. Okay, this is always her goal.
I thought you were going to say like August 10th, like one of those people.
No. It's not nothing. She's not like certifiable, but that really makes me get into like Christmas shopping mode way earlier than I used to do because I used to kick into that mode around Christmas Eve and go do all the shopping at that point. But we have the internet here, so I just do all my shopping there and get it done. So my game has been forced to get better.
My complaint about Christmas shopping is it's like impossible to get people gifts anymore because since physical media is dead, like if people don't read, you like can't get them movies anymore. You can't get them CDs anymore.
Yeah, I bet your grandmother loved getting Die Hard 4 for the 4th time.
Oh no, man, those people, I'm not even kidding. They loved getting physical media. It was like the easiest fallback gift ever for that generation of people.
So my brother and I, we had like a tradition. This is like, college, just after college or whatever, where on the 23rd, we would be on the way to my sister's where she would like host a thing, kind of a pre-Christmas Eve thing on the 23rd. So on the way there, we would go to Borders. Borders is like a Barnes and Noble. Does it exist anymore?
It does not.
The ultimate, the big, huge surprise.
I know.
The ultimate physical media kind of stuff, CDs, books, DVDs, all that. So we'd buy them the most outdated things by today's standards, and it was great. It was the best because we'd have our list. We'd go around the store. It was a lot of fun. Now, he's married and has a kid and stuff.
You could give the gift of taste. Now, like, hey, got you a Spotify subscription that you already have.
No.
There is something missing there. You can't give CDs anymore, obviously, or DVDs. By the way, Pat, I was persecuted in my own home the other day for buying the Scrooged DVD. Scrooged, of course, the 1988 Bill Murray movie. And then by my wife, who then said, we bought it on iTunes last year. How do you not remember? My question is, how do I remember?
Yeah, how would you remember?
How do you know what you have digitally?
Yeah.
There's no way to know. No. So now I doubled up on Scrooged.
My dad still like goes and buys CDs, and he has
I do
access
too.
to the internet and everything. Yeah, I kind of like that. Like power through it. You just keep buying CDs, man.
Well, no, I already had an amazing collection, and I mean, they're extremely cool. Like, it's great to have
Everyone
this
loves
physical
them.
thing.
Yeah, they are, Gramps. You're right. I love that right next to the stack of
No, I
newspapers.
love
whenever
just
I walk in.
having no physical connection whatsoever to something I spend so much of my time doing, listening to music. I love it just being totally ephemeral and just coming in one ear and out the other. As weightless as air with no value whatsoever.
have you-
It's really great.
What
need
a
to go
great
full
connection! This
hipster.
little plasticky boy. Oh man, I love my plastic circle.
It's
You got to go
amazing.
full hipster and start buying records, dude.
Well, apparently the Zoomers have started buying CDs again. So
Right.
they're coming back.
I have heard that, but someone shamed me for buying DVDs because it's bad for the environment. This is what I'm being told.
I mean, it is, but whatever.
How is it bad for them? Just the
I don't
A
know.
lot of
like-
plastic. Your
Yeah.
Scrooged will eventually end up in the ocean, but it's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that type. I mean, it's like you just spilled your water bottle on the Titanic. Is
Yeah,
kind of what.
yeah.
what
Yeah, I
it's like.
know.
How dare you
Yes.
spill it? Now there's water all over this boat.
That's exactly my thinking, Crane.
it's all going to end up in the ocean, and just like us one day.
I don't know if that's true.
Wow.
The Indianapolis. Tell you what, the Indianapolis Colts and the Minnesota Vikings isn't going to end up at the ocean. The Vikings, who I think are 10-3 with like a +1 point differential, are at home and are somehow only 4-point favorites against the team with a high school coach. We're going rapid fire on this game. You each have 1 minute to tell me what you think is important about Colts at Vikings. We'll begin with Patrick Kerrane.
Colts at Vikings. Yeah. All right. So,
Stalling.
loving to talk about this game. All right, Justin Jefferson, obviously an absolute smash. Only Tyreek Hill has a higher yards per out run now after his explosion last week. Cousins had the highest EPA per play of week 14. Colts have been a run funnel, but the Vikings have been pass first. They've had more success through the air than on the ground. I don't think they'll get like completely swept up by that. We should see some decent passing volume for the Vikings still. Hockenson looks like the clear secondary option. I think he's a good bet this week. Michael Pittman on the Colts side looks solid. He's literally run every single route in the Jeff Saturday era, 100% route participation in every game. His target rate's kind of whatever, but he gets all the routes. Alec Pierce is looking kind of interesting again. He has route rates of 74% and 75% over the last 2 weeks. He has the same target rate as Paris Campbell over the last 4 weeks at 18%, which isn't great, but he has a downfield 8 out of 12.8. That gives him access to big plays. I don't think he's a terrible dart throw option against a weak Vikings secondary.
By the way, everyone's yelling at me about having Michael Pittman ranked too low. Him as like the wide receiver 30. Like he's had more than 60 yards like one time in 2 months. Like the
But he's
touchdown
had less
odds,
than 60 yards once or twice in the past.
the touchdown odds are like 0.9% in this offense. I don't understand why anyone would still be excited about starting. You might have to still start him since he's catching 4 or 5 passes. You might not have any better options, but I could not believe people were caping up for Michael Pittman this week. Well,
It's like a fairly like high floor ish. He's because he's going to be out there all the time. But
who cares? I mean, who cares?
Right.
Weren't you
Kyle,
guys yelling at me for not playing Broncos last week? Like, oh, what about the floor of Latavius Murray's touches? Oh my God.
That was just me.
I was telling you to start Jerry Judy, buddy.
I was also told to start Greg Dulcich. So
Kyle, you got
Yeah,
45
that's true.
seconds
I
to
did
tell us
say
about
that
this
as well.
game.
that's fine. Dalvin Cook, he's still good, but how good is he? He's 13th in yards after contact per attempt, 21st in missed tackles forced per attempt out of 58 running backs. So they're still strong numbers, but they're not super elite. And his yards after contact per carry is a career low. On the other hand, his missed tackles forced and his 10-plus yard carry rate, just long runs, are about in line with his other seasons. I think maybe there's a slight dip in his efficiency this year in terms of like what he's actually doing on the field to make big plays and to make defenders miss. But it's not something that would make you believe he should only have 2, which I believe he does, 2 100-yard rushing games. I think he should bounce back on the ground. The real problem is the ceiling of him as a receiver has just kind of evaporated. I mean, he is averaging 2.2 catches per game, and he's less efficient through the air. He's got a career low in yards per target and yards per reception. So in terms of do we expect a boom game on the ground again before the end of the year? Yeah, I don't think he's that much different than he's been in years past. But is he the 3-down back I thought I was getting? Probably not.
Colts 6th most extreme run funnel defense this season, so we could see them try, at least the Vikings at least pretend to establish it, which I'm not so sure about. But yeah, I want to talk about Adam Thielen real quick. because I could, you know why? Because I love bad plays. Okay. And I will never play the best plays. And Adam Thielen, low key good play, I think, against an Indianapolis secondary that plays a lot of single high safety against that sort of coverage. Thielen has a 24% target share this season. That's way above his 15% target share against two high safeties. So, you get a little PPR scam action, I think, with Thielen. I actually love Thielen and Hawkinson for that reason in this game.
I will say, if you must start Michael Pittman, it's at least against Vikings pass defense that bleeds a ton of yardage. Maybe some people even play Alec Pierce. I have no idea why you would play anyone voluntarily from the Colts passing game, but something you can do maybe against a bad pass defense. The Ravens visit the Cleveland Browns as 3-point underdogs. One of this week's 4 games totaled under 40 points, currently at 38. Denny Carter.
Yeah.
What, if anything, do we need to know about Ravens at Browns, where Tyler Huntley, thankfully, will at least be starting for the Ravens, has cleared the concussion protocol.
Right. And that's important for the whole game environment here, because at least there's somewhat of a chance for the Ravens and the Browns to push each other maybe a little bit. I know the total is ugly and everything. Browns offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt said this week that Sean Watson should throw deep a little more. They're going to build that into the game plan going forward. That would make sense, as he has one of the lowest rates of downfield throws over the past 2 weeks. Obviously those are his only 2 games of the season. He's completed, one pass of over 20 yards and threw an interception on the other. More downfield throwing, definitely positive development for Donovan Peoples-Jones, who paced the team last week with a dozen targets. It's obviously good for Amari Cooper too. In fact, Peoples-Jones and Cooper have combined for 64% of the Browns' air yards this season.
That's even with David Njoku having a good game last weekend too. So we have probably seen the nadir of the Browns passing attack under Deshaun Watson. Kerrane, what are your facts on Browns Ravens?
So the Ravens are kind of an interesting team because they look like moderately run heavy by pass rate over expected, but I was looking at just like their expected pass rate, and they have a 58% expected pass rate. Only the Chiefs and Eagles are lower. Ravens aren't like as good as those teams, but they just ended up in a lot of these games where like it's kind of like not a lot going on and you can just run the ball. They rank 25th in pass rate this year. I think we would see them kind of establishing it. Like it would look like they're establishing it more if they were in different game scripts. I think this could be one of those game scripts, especially if the Browns are opening things up on the other side, as Denny laid out, that they might do. Huntley, a quarterback, maybe they aren't like extremely run heavy, but I do think they'll be kind of trying to be somewhat conservative here. The Ravens defense is stronger against the run than the pass, so that would be all the more reason for the Browns to go a little bit more pass heavy this week. And they opened things up a little bit last week. They had a -2% pass rate expected, but they were pass first on first down. So maybe they do start to move towards the pass like they did last week.
Kyle Dvorchak.
Doubling down on what Kerrane said about how we expect the Ravens to play this game, the Browns are one of the worst defenses in the NFL against the run, both in fantasy points allowed, which they rank third to last, or for running backs, third best, and an EPA per rush attempt there among the bottom teams as well. And I know the long run didn't like it visually. It looks better on the dots, Denny. I think
it looked a lot better on the dots.
J.K. Dobbins long run looks a lot better on the dots when you can't see the physical aesthetics.
I actually get why you don't watch the games now.
Yeah. There are some unsightly things that happens. Yeah, you don't want to see that.
No,
what you do want to see is a good matchup for J.K. Dobbins, and I think Gus Edwards a little bit if you're really desperate. But you want to see J.K. Dobbins in a good matchup coming off a game in which he saw exactly half of the team's running back carries, and in games where he's seen at least 10 carries in his career, he's averaging 15 fantasy points. So it's. I know it looked ugly, right? But we play for the fantasy points and not as much the aesthetics. So I think you're firing up J.K. Dobbins this week, and Gus Edwards kind of too. I mean, coming off 13 carries, it's the same matchup that's good for J.K. Dobbins. So I don't hate it if you're desperate.
Yeah,
I think playing a points per aesthetics league.
That sounds very modernist. We should do that. I think Dobbins is top 30 Gus Edwards is top 40. There's going to be a big time run game commitment. I'm sure the weather will be really nice in Cleveland, Ohio on just Saturday in December. Just really, really good passing conditions, I'm sure. So I think we will see a run game commitment from I almost said the Baltimore Orioles, from the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to the Bank of America Stadium. Carolina Panthers, yet another game under 40, currently 37.5. Panthers are 3-point favorites, Denny Carter. I mean, what kind of sick facts could a mind only like yours come up with for this game?
Yeah, no, it's a sick game, disgusting game on every level. I pray that you don't assign me this game is all I'll say. Look, Steelers are a run funnel, and the Panthers over the past 3 games are like the most extremely run heavy team in league history. They are 15% under their expected pass rate over those 3 games, 14% their expected pass rate on first downs. So they're just constantly running it no matter what. I think, unless game script goes haywire here, I just can't imagine that really happening between these two teams. But I think both Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard have something of a path to volume. Last week, they combined for 35 rushes against the Seahawks, 21 for Foreman, 14 for Hubbard. So and Hubbard's pass game involvement, I think, gives him a little boost as well. So I think you can start both, I think, in 12-team leagues this week. But overall, just a game to avoid if possible.
Game to avoid. But Patrick Football Kerrane, what are some of the facts we need to know about about the game to avoid as I enter day 25 of the flu?
We might be getting Mr. Trubisky at quarterback, but he's actually been more efficient than Kenny Pickett this season. He ranks 28th in EPA per play. Pickett ranks 30th.
Kenny Pickett has been bad, folks.
He's been bad. He's been more accurate than Trubisky. Pickett's accuracy has been okay and gives him like a little bit of hope. But who cares if he's accurate? Because he's not efficient and he's not playing this week probably, so there's no hope.
It's not a very well-timed sip of coffee from me.
Sam Darnold has been shockingly good, only 50 plays for him, but he's still 13th in EPA per play among quarterbacks with at least 50 plays, 4th in completion percentage over expected, getting a Steelers defense that ranks 20th in EPA allowed per drop back. DJ Moore ruined us last week. He'll probably ruin us again. 100% route participation for 2 straight weeks, though. I don't think it's crazy.
And he's playing. He seemed like he was originally going to be out, but now it never seemed like he was even remotely questionable with his ankle injury. He will be out there, Kyle.
Yeah, he got like a limited, maybe even a full practice start the week. So it seems like the ankle, I think, MRI he got on Monday seems like it was just a precaution. DJ Moore, for the second time in his career, had 0 catches last week, and the first was the very first game he played in. So you love to see that come full circle. The narrative arc is just beautiful.
Are you saying his career's over?
Boy, with Sam Darnold in the center, it kind of feels like it. I will say he saw 36% of the air yards last week. Didn't convert on literally one of them. That's unless you play in your air yards only leagues. It didn't go great for you. And the reason is very obvious, is that whenever Sam Darnold had to move the ball more than 1 yard downfield, it didn't go well. The team was led in catches by Laviska Shenault with -2 air yards and Chuba Hubbard with 3 air yards. I kind of agree that, like, math brain says all the air yards, pretty solid target share. You should fire up DJ Moore. But the aesthetics, this is an aesthetics only league bench. Yeah. I'll say that.
He's benched in the aesthetics only leagues. But Denny, how do you pronounce at late round QB's last name, also known as JJ?
Yeah, Zacharyson.
This is the JJ Zacharyson Bowl here between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Carolina. I'm assuming he'll be in attendance, and
I don't think he would subject himself to that.
No, he's never been to,
even though they are giving out the tickets for free. I hear
he's never been to a game, never will be to a game, just like anyone.
They're outside. Actually, I was down by the stadium recently, and they're outside trapping people in nets and just forcing them into the stadium.
I forgot Kyle Dvorchak, also a resident of Greater Charlotte.
That's pretty good.
Coming off back-to-back clunkers, the Dolphins arrive in snowy Buffalo as touchdown plus underdogs. Kyle, what is going on with the Dolphins' passing attack, and how might it get fixed against the mighty Bills?
This doesn't look like the strongest matchup for a lot of reasons.
It's not the cut. Yeah, currently forecast, I believe, for 9 inches of snow.
Yeah, that was like the final cherry on top I had, was that even if you sort of just buy into the fact that they're really good. The weather looks terrible, but I will say we've seen 2 of the past 3 weeks have been to his highest pressure rates of the season. Those have also lined up with his highest ADOTs of the season. And it's not like he's a bad deep thrower, but he is not good under pressure. He's 26th in yards per attempt and 19th in PFF passing grade. And both teams last week ended up playing a lot of zone coverage against him. He was just eviscerated man coverage. Teams didn't give it to him as much the past 2 weeks. I know the Chargers play a ton of man, and they ended up faking man on a lot of plays, but then ended up dropping into zone. And Tua struggled with that. They clogged up the middle of the field. And the 49ers, even if they didn't have as strong of like a correction to their strategy specifically for Tua, were just a strong defense. But this is another zone-heavy, strong defense, and now we have seemingly terrible weather. I'm still starting Tyreek and Waddle, and Mostert without Jeff Wilson looks good. You're probably still starting Tua, right? Probably.
I don't know. I actually was mulling this the other day.
Right. Yeah.
I think that it's time, like, especially, it's fantasy playoffs. Like, I cannot roll out Tua in a potential snowstorm with maybe the league having figured out how to stop that middle of the field stuff that the Dolphins were doing so well. I mean, that it just seems like a confluence of really disturbing events for Tua. Like, yeah. I'm actually considering, I hope you don't cut my mic, and I hope I keep my job. But if I had Tua, I would consider starting Matt Ryan.
Oh, God. I thought you were saying Mike White or something.
I was going to say Mike White, too. I thought Mike White was the
God. It's a good environment.
No
environment with Matt Ryan in it is good. That's part of the factor of the environment is who's in it. It's like, it's a great party. It's at a great venue, but only clowns are showing up. It's just evil clown people.
I needed one of you. I needed one of you to just arch an eyebrow.
I think we all thought maybe he's going to say Mike White. Maybe he'll say Brock Purdy.
No, I wouldn't. No, I'm not saying Brock
Purdy. You might have got me with.
Yeah. Maybe Tyler Huntley, because then you could have been like, he's gonna run, guys. He's gonna run.
You could have named so many guys like Daniel Jones. Like, he's gonna run. So many eyebrows.
No, I would have barked on Daniel Jones too.
This is much worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really think you can bench Tua because of. I knew the replacement options were bad. They're not as bad as Matt Ryan.
Yeah. All right.
I don't really think you can bench Tua still, but. Wow. Yeah, the lawyers. My phone's just blowing up. Like they're in a state of shock. The holidays are getting stricken
from the record, Denny.
Yeah,
they're actually banging on my door.
So the holidays are getting close. They thought they were going to finally get some times with their family, and this is
sorry about that.
This is what you do. Kerrane, you had the correct dope on the Bills' backfield last week. Has anything changed between James Cook and Devin Singletary heading into Week 15?
We have a dog in the.
We have a dog
for the audio listener. Kerrane's dog, Murphy, which one is it? Murphy, was really interested to the point where his nose was into Kerrane's ear. But you understand it because Kerrane had totally the right read on the back.
He wanted to see what's going on in his brain, As I nailed it so good. No, I actually don't really think I nailed it. James Cook had a 41% snap share last week, which is just 2% lower than against the Patriots. So, yes, he only had 5 touches, but he was out there, in line with what he flashed. Now, he didn't build on that. So, some skepticism there, but that did come through. But I don't know if we need him to necessarily be out there for 50% plus of snaps if the Bills are aggressive in this game. And there's a path to him seeing more playing time if Nyheim Hines goes away. He saw his snap share decline from 31% to 17% last week. If Hines goes away, it should open up more receiving snaps specifically, which would be very good for Cook. The Dolphins are much stronger against the run than the pass. I think under normal weather conditions, there would be no doubt that the Bills would be going very aggressive to the passing game in this matchup, expecting Tua to put up points on the other side. Maybe the weather screws that up, but I still, it's the Bills. They're not afraid of the weather. No. So I think we'll still probably see a pass-heavy script here from the Bills, and that helps out Cook.
Denny, I hesitate to go back to after what just happened.
Give me a chance at redemption, please.
I'll give you a chance at redemption by updating the Dolphins' backfield. Jeff Wilson, they called him day-to-day, but as of Thursday, he's yet to practice. Seems all but certain to sit against the Bills. Leaving the backfield to Raheem Mostert, who was kind of seemed like he was wearing down before they added in Jeff Wilson. I guess the backups, maybe Myles Gaskin. Like, what do we tell people about the Dolphins' backfield?
Well, really, it's only interesting if one guy gets most of the work. So the split leaves so little for both guys that if Wilson is out, then Mostert becomes interesting. But otherwise, I think you need to look elsewhere. I don't, game script, I don't think sets up well at all for this team. And also, this is a team, one of the few teams that passes when they're ahead. So even if game script did go well, there's a possibility they still wouldn't run it. Against Buffalo last week, Mostert had 44 yards on 12 touches with Jeff Wilson leaving in the third quarter against the Chargers. Mostert, notably, he started the game. He seemed to run as the starter until Wilson had a couple decent runs in the, I think in the second half right before his injury. But neither of these backs are really involved in the Miami passing game. Mostert and Wilson have combined for 40 targets this season total. It's really hard. I tried before the show to come up with a scenario where Mostert is super, super interesting. And I can't, although if you have him, you can play him as a flex, obviously in 12-team leagues.
Yeah. Kerrane, are you going to say something?
Well, you couldn't go with a scenario where Mostert's interesting, but you're doubting Matt Ryan.
I can envision Matt Ryan having a decent game. I can also envision Alex.
Can you envision it? Because I literally haven't visioned it yet.
I see it behind my eyes. If I close my eyes, I could see Matt Ryan throwing for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Denny's mind's eye is a very sick place. A very troubled, tortured place. Before we get off this game, does anyone want to defend Gabe Davis, or is that just over?
He runs a lot of routes.
Yep. Look,
It's so
he
bleak, man.
boy, does that guy play a lot of snaps with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
That's how. Yep.
Points per route leagues, he's wide receiver 1.
He's Chris Hoganing very, very hardcore.
Yeah,
Meaning he's
the ESPN's open score. I was looking at that the other day. He's like the 4th worst open score in the league.
Man, he got hurt early in the year. His ankle is just
Don't
never
with
the
this.
same.
He got hurt stuff. No.
He's never the same. He'll be roaring back in 2023.
By the way, I just want to point out now we're talking about open score. Julio Jones and AJ Green are the 2 lowest in the NFL, which isn't that kind of perfect, Remember they came in the same year. They're the 2 stars of that class. Now they're the 2 worst receivers in the league.
Life comes at you quite quickly.
It really does.
Comes at you quite quickly.
Kerrane, the kids call that preying on their downfall, as they'd say.
No, I'm happy that they're reunited. That's all.
Oh man,
You could be happier if they're reunited anywhere other than dead last.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man.
Listen, the vibes are off with what Kerrane just said. That's all.
They are. They are.
Oh, no.
Bad vibes. The Chicago Bears come off by as nearly 10-point underdogs in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Patrick Kerrane. We are least excited to get Justin Fields back in the fold. Should be a lot healthier with the shoulder after the bye. Break this game down for us.
Well, it's always fun when I have to start incorporating weather into the walkthrough stuff. I generally forget to do that until the end. They go, cool, we got to rewrite that part. Do want to note with the weather that it's going to affect this game a little bit. Looks like we're looking at some mild winds, some cold temperatures, but it doesn't seem anything crazy. With that in mind, I really like this spot for the Eagles. Hopefully that, moderate weather condition stays as is and doesn't get any worse, because this Bears defense is just so bad. They rank dead last in EPA allowed per dropback. The crucial thing here when you're talking about a matchup with the Eagles is that the Bears cannot get to the passer. They are 32nd in PFF's pass rush grades. They are 30th in quick pressure rate. The Achilles heel for the Eagles offense all season has been their ability to protect Hurts, particularly at allowing quick pressures. They are allowing quick pressure at the 5th highest rate. They're not going to have any trouble protecting Hurts here. In spots like this, they have tended to go with a downfield passing attack. We saw this against the Steelers, saw this against the Titans. Could be somewhat similar where they're, dropping back, aggressively attacking downfield, knowing that Hurts is going to have time to throw. Sets up as a potential explosion spot for the Eagles offense. And as good as we all know Hurts has been, his accuracy has been kind of stunning. He ranks 2nd in completion percentage over expected, behind only Geno Smith. So, I mean, if he has time to throw, he's getting his receivers open downfield and he's hitting them on target there's just a ton of potential for fantasy scoring here. These guys are getting open, by the way. AJ Brown ranks second in ESPN's open score. Devontae Smith ranks 20th. Purely in terms of getting open, this duo ranks higher than the Dolphins guys, where Tyreek Hill's wide receiver 4 and Waddle's wide receiver 30. So this duo is like really, really strong. And with Dallas Goedert out, it's been super concentrated. And we also have Miles Sanders as a viable starter this week. He's going against a defense that ranks dead last in PFF's run defense grades. The Bears can't stop anything no matter what you're doing. This is kind of a start all your Eagles type of week. On the Bears side, difficult matchup for Justin Fields. The Eagles rank second in EPL out per dropback, but they are not very good against the run. 29th in success rate. They were awesome against the Titans 2 weeks ago. Back down.
And they've also allowed the 12th most quarterback rushing yards. I don't know how truly telling that is, but
well, they're about to allow some more, I think. They were back to mediocre against the run last week after totally shutting down the Titans. So I feel like that's kind of a blip. And the Jordan Davis being back has been good for them, but I don't think it's like a game changer. This is still not a very good run defense. As far as like how to play that, David Montgomery is volume-based RB2. Fields is still somewhat interesting, just based purely on the rushing equity. Through the passing game, it's not great, but I will note, despite all this news about Chase Claypool, like not knowing the offense after 6 weeks in a bye week, I kind of wonder if like that's just sort of BS, or like they're trying to downplay the expectations knowing they have to lean on him, because
he's also not practicing, by the way.
Okay. All right. Well, that's not good. Maybe he's just completely out of favor. But he did have 82% route participation before the bye. So I don't know.
He was hilariously hurt in that game. He went down with like screaming knee pain, sat out 2 or 3 drives. And I was blurbing this game, and I'm like, oh, I got to write an in-game injury blurb. More work for me to do. But they never listed him as questionable. And he just came back in and caught a bunch of negative yard screens. It was not the greatest setup.
It's weird. Yeah, he has yet to resume practicing. Hopefully for the Bears' sake, he does play this weekend.
He didn't practice today either. Okay.
But Devontae Smith, by the way, is 9th in receiving in the 4 games since Dallas Goedert went down injured. So he's been running quite hot.
Yeah. I get a lot of questions on Twitter this week about like, do I play Goddard when he comes back? Yeah, you play Goddard. Like,
you would.
I mean, even if his route rate is a little down coming back from the injury, like you're still playing. You play all your Eagles. That the Bears defense is an abomination. You play
it's an abomination. It's gotten worse as the season's gone on. Like it's truly horrific. Last note is, especially if we don't have Claypool, Komet has route rates of 93% and 96% over the last 2 weeks. Those are high for like wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So to get a tight end running that many routes, his target share is like very whatever, but that's pretty sweet. So as far as bring back options go, there's essentially none other than him. And I'm playing this game in DFS.
Yeah, Justin Fields rumbles down into the red zone. Cole Kmet is going to be the finisher at the goal line. So yeah, I hope Chase Claypool plays, but does not seem likely at the moment. Denny Carter, the Chiefs arrive in Houston as the latest 2 touchdown favorites. What is there to know other than it is Rex Burkhead season for the Houston Texans?
Yeah, well, I saw your note there, and I even as a Burkhead guy, some are calling me, I would say, pump the brakes a little bit on Burkhead season, because Daugherty Agumbawale is still there, probably taking up the passing down snaps. So we have a weird situation, first of all, with Brandon Cooks. Okay, so Aaron Wilson, longtime Texans beat writer, said on Wednesday that Cooks is out. Cooks not playing this week. And then he was in full pads practicing on Thursday. So we're looking into it strongly, but he may or may not play. If Brandon Cooks plays, I guess you can assume he's going to get a full share of snaps and routes. You go ahead and you play him in likely massive negative game script. If not, even if he plays, Chris Moore should continue being fantasy relevant. Chris Moore, of course, caught 10 of 11 targets for 124 yards, 93% route rate last week against Dallas. Nico Collins is expected to miss this game against the Chiefs with a foot injury. So I do think Moore stays relevant because of the Nico Collins injury, but Moore is a really, really good play if Cooks is out. Shifting over to the KC backfield.
I was wondering if you were going to talk about the Chiefs, the good team.
I'm really sorry. What did you ask me here?
Oh, you mean the guy who pumped up Matt Ryan earlier in the show? Wanted to spend a few
The
minutes
whole
on
time on
the
the
Texans?
I did ask a really loaded question, putting Rex Burkhead in the write-up. So sorry about that.
You're lucky I didn't just spend 11 minutes talking about Jeff Driscoll.
Okay,
Because I wanted to. He's tight end eligible on Yahoo is all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, don't put that out there.
No, I'm putting it out there because he's an elite play you can play him at tight end.
We got to work on position reform.
Listen, so yeah, both Pacheco and McKinnon are interesting here. Pacheco, let's see, Houston allows the 8th highest rate of positive rush plays. They're the league's 2nd most extreme run funnel defense, only behind the Cowboys. Pacheco in a similar spot a few weeks ago against the Rams had 23 touches. McKinnon in that spot against the Rams, he also had a nice day, catching 7 passes for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns while seeing six carries. I think both of them are playable, but Pacheco really is a very strong play. I think has a ton of upside against what is the league's worst run defense.
We love our Isaiah Pacheco, don't we, folks? We also love our breaks. We'll be right back after this. Just a reminder, if you don't have the NBC Sports Predictor app, go download it now. The contests are free and easy to play, and you have a shot to win thousands this weekend by predicting what will happen in college football, on the PGA Tour, and in the World Cup. There's also $100,000 up for grabs by guessing the outcome between the Giants and Commanders in our Sunday Night 7 contest. I had to inform some of the participants on this show that there was only one game left in the World Cup in a Sunday morning, and they were quite sad about that because they want to watch.
It was on Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's
only one game left. That didn't bother me.
Bring it home, Lionel. Just bring it home, Lionel.
That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, bring it home. Bring it home to the Americas. The Jaguars host the Cowboys as home dogs in one of Week 15's most fascinating games, Denny. The Jags have tended to roll bad teams and get rolled by good ones. Yeah. Is there any way they can get their passing game rolling against this monster Cowboys defense?
Absolutely not. No, it's a really bad spot. Looking very strongly into the numbers here. Ugly matchup. Dallas defense allows the fourth lowest drop back EPA since week 10. The Cowboys lead the league in pressure rate, and let me tell you, Trevor Lawrence has been pretty bad under pressure. He is PFF's 6th lowest graded quarterback against pressure this season, completing 50% of his passes. He's thrown 3 interceptions to only 2 touchdowns when facing pressure. The only out here, I think, for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars passing game, because I just can't. I mean, yes, the Cowboys are a run funnel, so keep that in mind. Dameon Pierce did okay against them before his injury last week. So we'll get to ETN in a second. Let me just stick with the passing game. Cowboys opponents are averaging 65 offensive plays per game. That's the ninth highest mark in the league. And the Jaguars are giving up the 7th most offensive plays per game. So maybe you get some volume to the point where Lawrence becomes playable, but on the surface, it couldn't be worse for Trevor Lawrence. I think it's fine for Zay Jones. It's fine for Christian Kirk. Not good for Evan Ingram, by the way. I know you're playing him if you have him, I think, but Evan Ingram is facing, one of the defenses that have been the toughest against tight ends this season.
You're not going to play the tight end 4 by overall points? Curious.
Curious. I won't play elite Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I thought you only looked at the dots.
Well, I've looked. You know what dot I've been looking at lately? I've been looking at the Jeff Driscoll dot.
Oh no, man! Jeff Driscoll. I would play Jeff Driscoll over Matt Ryan, by the way.
No, man. The whole idea
tight end.
Tight end.
I blame maybe at quarterback. I'm saying if my choices at quarterback were Jeff Driscoll or Matt Ryan,
that's cheating, dude. You're trying to cheat.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. I love it. In fact,
Denny's a disgusting scam artist. Kyle, what's going on with Travis Etienne? Denny mentioned the Cowboys are a run funnel.
Yeah, I mean, in the past 2 games, because 3 weeks ago he left with maybe it's 3 games ago. I don't remember if they had a bye. Who cares? We're at week 94 of the season. We're so close to the end. In his past 2 games, Etienne ranks top 5 among all running backs in snap share, top 5 in attempt share, and red zone attempt share. Bad news is he hasn't been like a particularly special running back this year. He's 20th in explosive run rate. He's 31st in yards after contact per attempt. But like we said, this looks like a funnel matchup. So at least if he's not going to be elite as a running back, he's going to get a ton of volume in this game if they do end up playing into the funnel that is the Dallas never throw against them Cowboys team. On the other hand, if they don't capitulate to that and they are playing from behind and passing, he's 34th in yards per route run among running backs, and he plays a lot of pass blocking snaps. Like, he runs a decent amount of routes, but he also spends a lot of his passing down snaps. Pass blocking, he's 8th overall in pass blocking snaps. So I wouldn't count on, if you think Trevor Lawrence throws 40 times this game, I don't think they'd want to play into the Dallas hand that much. But if they do end up playing from behind for a lot and they just have no choice but to throw, that would be kind of a rough run out for Etienne because he's just not getting the ball a ton through the air.
Kerrane, is there anything interesting going on behind CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys passing attack, or just not enough volume from Michael Gallup? I mean, Dalton Schultz, we know we're starting. T.Y. Hilton apparently making his Cowboys debut this week. Anything going on behind CeeDee Lamb?
Well, this is, I think, kind of a real like crossroads for the Cowboys in terms of if they're actually going. They haven't had a single positive pass rate over expected all season. They're only one of 3 teams that haven't had once gone past first. Are they going to go past first here? They're against a Jaguars defense that's absolutely terrible against the pass. They really should. Dak has played very well this year. So if there's volume, then I think there are some interesting guys here, but I don't know that we can count on it. They seem very consistent with being run first. Yeah. However, Dalton Schultz definitely jumps out to me. He's had route rates of 90% and 88% over the last 2 weeks. So that gives him, I think, elite tight end upside in this matchup. Michael Gallup, I will note, has a 6.4 yards per target, which is 3 yards lower than expected for his 12.8 ADOT. That's like a lot lower. He's drastically underperforming his per route target volume. I think this is a spot where we could see some efficiency from Michael Gallup, just given how bad the Jaguars are at defending the pass. But he, I think, is more fragile. You know, you're burning a more valuable wide receiver flex spot on him. But, you know, I do think they could potentially go past first. They should. So that would put Gallup in play as well.
Well, Cowboys, please just for once play entertaining offense. You're supposed to be one of the best teams in the league.
One time.
Yeah, just one time. 2 of 2022's most frustrating team, the Patriots and Raiders, square off in Vegas in a game that is close to a pick'em. Kyle Dvorchak, tell the folks what they need to know other than Bill Belichick cannot wait to eat his former protege's lunch. Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. This game kind of goes down as an injury game in which, like, especially for like the Raiders, you know what to do. You play Josh Jacobs, you play Devontae Adams,
you play Matt Collins, etc.
Okay. So let's not. I normally do think Matt Collins is fine. He's Gabe Davis for a not Josh Allen guy, so it's whatever. But this is a truly backbreaking matchup. Patriots are number 1 in pass EPA on defense, and they're number 9 in run EPA too. They're just a really strong defense on all fronts. So I'm only playing the guys who I can lock in a ton of volume from the Raiders. We may end up getting, I think they activated both, they designated to return both Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. I mean, we're talking about Jeff Driscoll as a tight end. You could play Darren Waller. I think it would be a risky play for sure. We just don't know what he'll come back to. And we even know that early in the year, his role wasn't elite. He was only 13th in target share. He was 4th in air yards. The one benefit of having Devontae Adams is they were able to move Darren Waller around a bit more. They were able to use him deeper. So he'd have some big play upside, even if it's a really tough defensive matchup. And tight end's terrible. So why not? Have fun with it.
He'd be top 15.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I'd be comfortable throwing him back into tight end 1 range. But all you need is a few teams in your league to have 2 tight end 1s, which isn't hard because there's a lot of bad tight end 1s. And you'd be in a spot where maybe you start Darren Waller. So it's only, obviously, just check up on this little site I run called Rotoworld.com. See if
Thanks for running that, man.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing it finally. You're the first one. Other side of the ball, Devontae Parker and Ramondre Stevenson did not practice start the week. Parker dealing with concussion. I'd be shocked if he plays. Ramondre also doesn't look super likely. And Damian Harris was back at practice. I'm not sure entirely what role we'd see from Damian Harris. He's really struggled just to stay healthy this year. I wouldn't expect him to get a full-time role. Pierre Strong, who came out of college looking like could play all 3 downs. He wouldn't play all 3 downs every snap in a game, but he's a strong pass catcher and a decent runner. Maybe it would take some of that Ramondre role, but I wouldn't really bet on anyone other than Damian Harris. I think depending on what receiving room we get from this team, because Jacoby Myers dealing with concussion, but got in what seemed like the most limited practice. He wasn't spotted at the open portion of practice for media, but did get called limited on Wednesday. So if he's in the lineup, you're definitely playing. The Raiders defense is one of the worst against the pass, bottom 3 in EPA allowed. And if he doesn't play and Parker doesn't play, I'm even fine throwing some darts on like a Tyquan Thornton type or even Nelson Aguilar.
So I thought you were going to maybe say Aguilar, who probably would see like 6 to 8 targets in that scenario.
He'd run almost every route for the team.
We wouldn't love it.
I heard a stat about Mac Jones the other day, kind of blew my mind. Since he came back into the starting job for New England, Mac Jones, 31% of his attempts have been at or behind the line of scrimmage. Oof. That's just shocking. I mean, and
no, Kerrane, don't you oof. That's how our Ramondre teams made the playoffs in best ball.
That's right.
That's true. Although we'd love for him to be able to play this week.
And also, I would love if Ramondre is able to play again, if he could gain more than 1 yard per.
He was gonna. All his backups had great games in the game.
I know.
Would be quite nice.
So, Kyle, if Damian Harris doesn't go, and I guess he looks like he probably will, but
yeah,
if he doesn't, what's your read on it?
Pierre Strong season.
I didn't Kevin Harris out carry him last week.
It's Kevin Harris.
I mean, I think it would be a true committee. We would get the full time. Bill Belichick's been dying to throw out a committee because he hasn't got to do the committee shtick much this year. I think we would see more Kevin Harris on the ground by like maybe a considerable margin. But Pierre Strong, like profiled, is a good pass catcher coming out of college. So I think it would be a true committee in which Kevin Harris gets at least the lead in carries and probably snaps.
Maybe the Raiders would just let the Patriots use Josh Jacobs for 20 touches. They use him for 30, get him up to 50 touches, maybe make it a little more even. He's averaging actually 30 touches over the past 5 weeks, by the way. Absolutely astounding. The Lions and Jets meet up in Jersey, accompanied by a surprisingly modest 44.5 total, at least in my opinion, it's surprisingly modest. Kerrane, we love our Lions, but we don't love what they did to our beautiful DeAndre Swift in Week 14. Was Week 13's 18-touch outing a one-off moment that won't be coming back? Or is he back because he wasn't on the injury report this week?
Look what they did to my boy. Yeah, it's over. It's over. He's a 35% snap share last week. Like, honestly, like, why are we talking about this?
He was on the injury report last week. This week he's not, Pat. It's that simple.
Okay.
It's science.
So Justin Jackson had a 30% snap share, 29% route participation. If that's like a direct result of him being on the injury report last week, then that offers some hope because, basically you could probably just lop off like 20% of that and give it to Swift. And now he's back up to 55%. That's possible, but that's still not great, guys.
Yeah, your upside case is like mediocre as all get out. He's a good player, but the role would not be that special.
Well, I think 55% snaps actually would be special. I think that would be enough.
Special
at all.
How has the special bar gotten so low?
They give him so many third down targets, folks.
Special for a DeAndre Swift type would be like a 70% snap share. That would be
70. That's like you're getting into like bell cow usage. He doesn't need to be a bell cow. He just needs to be.
But that would be special for a player of his archetype.
Player of his archetype meaning amazing. He doesn't need 70.
We don't need the James Conner 95%.
I'm telling you, I would take 55 in a heartbeat. I would sign a contract. I would sign a sworn affidavit for 55.
That's in play. That's definitely in play. I think he's more interesting than Jamal Williams because he's got more of a pass catching role. But I think it's a similar type of bet. You're hoping for a touchdown. You're hoping for around half the snaps.
I legit don't even think he's more interesting than Jamal Williams. Like I'm not gambling with this guy.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. It's pretty bleak. Denny, what is going on behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and the Lions passing attack where we got DJ Shark much more involved over the past 2 weeks. We have Jameson Williams mixing in for some snaps and some splash plays. Yeah. Josh Reynolds is apparently still on this team. What's going on?
That's rude. Sorry, Josh, if you're listening. Look, everything's fine. Everything's fine with Amon-Ra. I know that things have been slow, a little bit slow.
I wasn't trying to true them on Rod. Just kind of wondering, like, if you were still interested in DJ.
I mean,
Shark.
not really slow. I'm, looking at recent, but I know 6 catches for 68. You're hoping for more than that, like you had last week. But let's see, 33% target per route run rate on the season. That's 30% over the past 3 weeks, so not a big drop off. His weighted opportunity rating is actually higher over the past 3 weeks than it has been on the season. So everything, all the underlying stuff says that he's still an elite PPR option. You keep rolling him out. I do think that the Lions will be forced to throw a lot here. I like his chances of bouncing back from last week.
The fact that Pat asked what's going on behind Amon-Ra, and the first thing that comes up is Amon-Ra is fine, is evidence of how good Amon-Ra is. Like anytime Justin Jefferson goes 4 for 40, you're like, oh my God, what's going on? Where are my 180 yards? And Amon-Ra is like actually reaching that level of like when he doesn't go like 8 for 105 and 1, you're like, did something happen? Is he okay? But Denny's right. He's fine.
Right. And also DJ Chark, who obviously I'm a big fan, talked him up, I think 2 or 3 straight weeks now.
That's what I was waiting for.
Way different outlook this week. The Jets are really tough against outside receivers. He's playing almost all of his snaps on the boundary. So, you're probably playing him as like a wide receiver 3 or 4, but tamp down your expectations. He was in a fantastic spot last week and took advantage of it. It's not even close to that this week.
Yeah, he about to get sauced.
Kyle, there are also some interesting things going on in the Jets passing game, including Mike White playing through like 40 broken ribs, even though they haven't announced that. Corey Davis concussed. Elijah Moore finally saw his long-sought targets increase in week 14. What do we tell the folks about the Jets passing game?
I mean, I'm still probably only playing Garrett Wilson. I get Elijah Moore last week saw 10 targets. He paced the team in targets, but he ranks 5th among receivers with the last name Moore in yards per route run. Among all receivers, he ranks 95th. Wow. So I am not starting.
That's the stat of the week.
That's the stat of the week for sure.
I am not starting the worst Moore we have because you're getting less, in fact, by playing him. Moore.
That's analytics.
It's still and will always and forever be Garrett Wilson's season. And sure, you can fire up Tyler Conklin because, as we said, Jeff Driscoll's in play. It's literally anyone you want. Go for it. Have a blast.
It's true. It's just, why would you not be playing the Conk Daddy, living your best life at tight end at this point? I was going to ask if anyone had any Zonovan Night love, but of course we do. It's,
you know who I would play over Conk Daddy? Jeff Driscoll.
I can't. I get it.
I don't think I would. I think I'd play the Conk Daddy.
Oh no, you played.
Benny, I haven't seen you happier in the old time I've known you. Honestly.
I'm so excited for Driscoll.
Christmas came early for Denny.
Yeah.
Boy, new, even more disappointing Taysom Hill just dropped, honey. Come to the
No. It's Taysom, but good.
It's a better version because isn't he like the red zone quarterback?
He is. Yeah.
Listen, he played 30.
How many times is this team getting in the red zone?
33.
33. Davis Mills played 33. It's a split, guys.
Played 33 stat. He had like 30 yards.
I might play on Yahoo this week. I haven't played on Yahoo all year.
He had 8 rushes and he threw a touchdown. What do you want? He's better than everybody but Kelsey this week.
Wow.
He's better. I don't know.
Really
tight end
quickly. 2 teams absolutely nobody cares about anymore. The Falcons and Saints come off bye in New Orleans. Kerrane, give us the lowdown, beginning with the Falcons quarterback change to Desmond Ridder.
I'm not really a Desmond Ridder believer.
He's bad.
I think he's probably bad. He was very poor under pressure in college. That popped up in the preseason. I feel like it's going to be a major issue for him in his career. However, this is kind of the spot for him to prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Desmond Ridder, because the Saints rank 21st in PFF's pass rush grades. They're 31st in quick pressure rate. I actually do think that Ridder could bring some efficiency to the offense this week, even if he ends up being kind of long-term a disappointment. This could be a good week for him. I don't know that it's going to be great for Drake London, unfortunately. It finally clicked with Mariota, 50% target share, 49% air yard share. That was good for 6 receptions for 95 yards on 12 targets. That's kind of the way the Falcons offense goes, but at least he was clicking with Mariota in that final game. Now, it's a bit of risk to move to change quarterbacks, but it should be okay in terms of like all the percentage of something numbers. It's just that the percentage of the something is the Falcons offense, which is just so run heavy. There's no way they don't go extremely run heavy with a rookie.
No, they probably will be somehow even run heavier. Yes.
Yeah. And then there's nothing we can really do with that because it's a split backfield. Patterson's been slightly more efficient than Tyler Algier, but the rookie's done enough, I think, to keep getting some volume. So it's going to be a split. I think Patterson's a slightly better bet. Neither looks like a great bet. On the Saints side, they've been, in terms of their approach to the run, their philosophy, they've been kind of 49ers-ish, Jets-ish. And they now get a Falcons defense that ranks 28th in EPA allowed per rush.
Oh
They're
my God.
31st
They're not
in
going to
rushing
throw
success
any
rate.
passes, are they?
They're running the ball. They're running. Fortunately, we can do something with this because we got Kamara. We got no Mark Ingram, so we're getting workhorse Kamara. This could be one of his better weeks of the season. Even if they do drop back, obviously Kamara will be fine. He's still running back 3 in route participation, running back 3 in target share. So he's like a really pretty locked in play. I like Kamara.
Kamara is averaging 27 yards rushing and 29 yards receiving over his past 5 games.
This is the matchup, though. And he's going to get all the work.
Famous last words. They're going to make a stunning reacquisition.
David
of
Johnson
Tony
is just prepping for 12 touches, baby.
Man. Is that really who it's going to be?
They signed Eno.
Well, yeah, they signed. It's only been a few
Eno
days,
season.
right?
Eno season.
You guys don't know how much I love David Johnson. I really
Eno's
hope
been cut from 2 teams this year. Yes. We can start Kamara.
Yeah, man. He's locked in for 25 touches.
That's true.
No, you started.
Come on. Chris Olave did want to note, obviously, like we know, Chris Olave is having a good season, but looking at his weighted targets per route run, which includes air yards in the target per route run calculation, he's only behind Tyreek Hill. If they just were to throw, and maybe use not Andy Dalton to do it, but if they just were to throw, he could be having just an incredibly special season. That's not going to be this game, unfortunately, but he does have a 15.2 ADOT, so he can get there on some splash plays. So I think even with the concern that this is going to be a very run-heavy Saints game plan, Olave is still in play for me.
We'll be right back after this. Download the Rotoworld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It is available in your app store today. Kyle Dvorchak, the Packers come off bye to a sizzling Christian Watson and potentially returning Romeo Doubs. That is no longer potential. Romeo Doubs is returning. What is the lay of the land in Green Bay, including whether this team can make a playoff run?
Right now, a 538 gives them a 6% chance to make the playoffs. And assuming they win this game because they're playing against just one of the most depleted rosters, it doesn't change too much because that's already kind of baked in. I mean, the exciting part is since week 10, Rodgers has a 0.14 EPA per dropback and a 1% completion percentage over expected. He was negative in both metrics heading into week 10. Like he just was having a bad season. You can blame it on the banged up offensive line. You can blame it on the lack of receiving talent, but it was not a good season in terms of efficiency metrics. And then week 10, that cutoff is the Christian Watson breakout. And he has been not elite, but good since then. The problem is since then, the Packers do not care. They have a minus 12% pass rate over expected. They have finally things are coming together. Watson is blowing up. Now they're going to get Romeo Doubs back. And I have no faith that they will even acknowledge that fact, acknowledge the fact that they're finally turning things around. And maybe it won't matter this week. They could probably still beat Baker Mayfield behind 9th string linemen with no receivers by running the football. But for the offensive outlook, their philosophy is like a losing philosophy when they have to face good teams. And it's probably a losing fantasy philosophy this week because they won't need to pass the football.
It's been a losing philosophy when they faced bad teams. They've lost a ton of bad teams this year.
At least Aaron Rodgers had the bye to rest his thumb, to rest his ribs. Maybe that can help lead to a greater passing game commitment if his broken thumb.
I think that may be true in the coming weeks. They end this season unlike Detroit and the Vikings. But this isn't. I really can't envision this being a game where they get pushed by the opposition. Maybe there's some sort of glimmer of hope that with all the receivers looking good, or at least, Watson looking great, Doubs back in the lineup, they have the healthy core of receivers for like the first time in months or something. Maybe in the future that comes to fruition, but I don't think it will this week.
I think the Rams
could lose to the Rams.
I think so too. I think the Rams are looking kind of. I feel like Sean McVay seems like freed by having no good players left.
By having Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, well. And all-time, well, I was pitched to Denny now. Baker Mayfield had an all-time mean start in Week 14. Is there any chance that it was anything other than a one-off for what feels like a totally collapsed offense, Denny?
Well, apparently part of the reason Baker, booked his flight to LA before the team even called, which is something he said after the game last week.
Wait, what?
He did do that. Yes.
Yeah, he booked his flight. Said, "I'm going to LA because I want to play for the Rams." The reason,
Me too. I could. Can I do that? What?
And that's why I'm flying to LA right after the show. You never know.
He could have been claimed by another team and had to fly.
Would have been bad.
That's very irresponsible.
He would have had to fake a medical emergency to get an emergency landing.
What's he gonna do?
But this is the legend of Baker. I don't think that legend will grow this week, but he is very comfortable apparently in the Sean McVay offensive system. A lot of 11 personnel. He thrives in that. He was pretty good in that in 2020, and for some reason, Kevin Stefanski, I don't know, forgot about it. It's hard to say. But yeah, so I do think that there's something to it. He makes Atwell. Just please don't cut my mic. He makes Tutu Atwell. He makes Ben Skoranek, Van Jefferson slightly more interesting.
He does. Okay? He actually does.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's actually true.
Like he makes them live at least. For
not as interesting as Matt Ryan would, but
no.
we're playing this clip when Matt Ryan goes on.
By the way, I was wondering if you guys.
I don't think I'll be able to live that down.
I was wondering if you guys, when you were watching on Amazon last Thursday, found it maybe just a little curious that 2 days after arriving with his new team, a quarterback could play every snap, and yet Christian McCaffrey had to be snap counted in his 49ers debut. And just would like to revisit that.
Did he play every snap? I thought John Wolford.
No, saying after the opening series where like John Wolford hit like his contract incentive or whatever.
Yeah,
he played every snap.
Was it a contract thing?
There were some people speculating that, but then some people saying that couldn't be it. I don't know, doing his boy solid. Like, hey, Wolf, guess what? You get a new star on your Pro Football Reference page. It's going to claim you started this game.
Didn't they do that with Cam Akers last year too? Actually, they brought him up to the active roster for some weird technical reason. I forget if it was like seasons accrued or something of that.
I think it was like his pension. Yeah.
It was some like really weird, the agreement, the contract agreement or whatever.
That makes sense.
But maybe that's why. I don't know.
I don't think that was why. I think it was just kind of like Wolford's the starter. And then I saw one series of John Wolford's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care how long Baker's been on the team.
He didn't even throw a pass on that first series though, did he?
No, he did not. No.
He's like, this boy cannot hand off. Get him out of there.
Seriously, like 3 plays.
Really? It was a 3 and out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it made actually no sense. But anyways, a quarterback can do it on 2 days, but a running back can on 5. I just find that very curious. Anyways, most of the audience is probably
no comment.
Yeah, I do like that you still held on to that though. It was pretty good for that take. I gotta say.
Yeah, there we go.
He's literally 2 days.
Just blew the whole thing wide open.
Yeah.
The fading New York Giants take on the surging. I can't believe I had to write that. Commanders on the National Broadcasting Corporation Sunday evening at 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Denny, what is of interest in Landover, Maryland?
What's of interest is that 70% of this crowd will be Giants fans. That's for certain. It's but I don't think it'll matter. I actually do like the Commanders to win here. Maybe not handily, but definitely I think you can bank on good game script for the Commanders. The Giants are the sixth most extreme pass funnel in the league. It makes some sense considering they allow the 7th highest EPA per dropback. Taylor Heineke actually had a pretty good game when these teams met 2 weeks ago, threw for 275 and 2 touchdowns. There are some key injuries to the Giants secondary. We'll see how that plays out in the coming days at practice. Could be significant for Heineke and McLaurin and the passing attack for Washington. Just more on Heineke because I actually think that Heineke is an interesting streaming option, low, like not a ceiling option, of course, not Matt Ryan. Let's just say okay, but still, still could get there.
Who is? I mean,
I think right, exactly. You could get there against the Giants. The Saquon situation is dicey. Like he's practicing. I would expect them to try to get him involved here. But man, the Washington run defense is good, like really solid. I just don't know if I see any kind of ceiling situation here for Saquon. It doesn't have to do necessarily with him, but just the team. Like, there's just no threat of the pass. No teams are scared of Daniel Jones. The team itself, the Giants themselves, don't trust Daniel Jones. And
I can tell you one team who's scared of Daniel Jones, and the one who employs him.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. But they're terrified, right? And so they do everything to keep it out of his hands in important situations. So that's bad for Saquon. Saquon's also not super involved in the passing game. One other thing, Richie James in concussion protocol. He seemed like an interesting kind of play. Maybe
He did return to practice Thursday.
Okay, thank you for that. I didn't know that.
Richie James
Well,
season.
he would be somewhat interesting in deeper PPR formats because Daniel Bellinger might miss this game.
Well, Denny, you'd have to get your Isaiah Hodgins and a GPP tattoo removed from your forehead, though.
I would. That might take a while. But it's true. That's all I got on this.
He'd be out. They'd both be playing. Hodgins is playing outside.
That would be quite painful.
Keep the tattoo.
So I can get the second tattoo.
Yeah, just like do him like a crown. Everyone, the next one, the next one.
Isaiah Hodgins and a GPP. The Tennessee Titans and Los Angeles Chargers meet up in this week's Are These Teams Good or Bad Bowl? Kyle, what is the scoop in Los Angeles? Where I'm assuming there are probably not enough Titans fans to take over SoFi Stadium. No offense to Titans fans.
Yeah, this might be. I'm looking for the Starbucks. Is it in this large building with Scofie written on it? I don't know. Let's poke around in here. And those are the fans attending this game. I am concerned for what the Titans look like without Treylon Burks, because as you knock off that like deep threat can push the boundaries of defenders type of player in Burks, Tannehill starts to look rough. It hasn't been a great season for him either way, but he averages 1.2 fewer yards per attempt and a quarter less touchdowns in his 3 games without Burks. I mean, and Burks didn't practice again Thursday with the concussion. I don't think it's very unlikely he plays at this point. Maybe that opens up some more. I mean, they already do it a lot, but opens up even more Chig Okonkwo routes. But he only last week without Burks ran a route on 52% of Tannehill's dropbacks. He is in that like Tyler Conklin minus tier of if you have to do it, I understand why, but he's still just a part-time player. So the only Titan I'm really interested in is the obvious one. It's Derrick Henry. Chargers have faced a pass rate below expectation and ranked 29th in EPA per rush allowed. They are just the supreme run funnel with their terrible run defense, and we know Tennessee would love to play this game no other way. So it's a great Derrick Henry spot. The only real out to him failing is that the Chargers offense is back. I'm not entirely sure that's true. I know they had a solid performance last week, but it was once again the super low Justin Herbert ADOT, and it just doesn't make sense. At this point, it does feel almost more by design because they had Mike Williams back, and he ran a route on 73% of Herbert's dropbacks. It's not, the true starting full-time role. Palmer ran a few more routes than him, but I think we can expect it to get up there. It really does kind of just look by design that they're not attempting to push the ball downfield. Luckily, like I said a few weeks ago, when Herbert was facing the Raiders, the right matchup can paste over this sort of weak, cowardly offensive design. And this is the right matchup. The Titans give up more fantasy points to receivers, line about wide than anyone else. They're poor against the slot still. They are one of the easiest teams to pass on in terms of fantasy points allowed. I'm starting everyone here. If they get a more difficult matchup in the future and their philosophy doesn't change, I do go back to being concerned, but the matchup is too good not to.
Chargers trying to win that Pac-12 championship with the Oregon usage of Justin Herbert. You hate to see it.
What's going on with Derrick Henry? Limited practice yesterday, non-injury. Didn't practice today, non-injury.
They just rest him every day. That's all they do.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's cool. He'll be all right.
Sweet.
He'll be the big dog. Will be. Man, I couldn't think of, and I thought of like 5 truly terrible puns.
What were they? No, name them in order.
I have one of them involved. The first one involved the word woof, and just can't do it. Can't do it.
I appreciate you. We can edit this out.
Yeah, let's please do
podcast version.
Yeah, the lawyers are.
Yeah,
Denny's lawyers are armed now.
I can't take the heat off Denny. I gotta keep it squarely on Denny where it belongs. The accelerating Bengals visit the deflated Bucs as 3.5-point road favorites. Patrick Kerrane. I'll ask you what I feel like I ask you guys every week. Is there any hope whatsoever for this Bucs offense? I finally did. I had mostly already abandoned hope. I abandoned all hope last week for the Bucs offense.
Yeah, I did some digging on this Bucs offense, and it's definitely not because Byron Leftwich said this isn't fantasy, this is real life. I know what I'm doing. You guys don't. That didn't fire me up at all. I just like numbers, and I'm curious about things. So I dove in, and some curious things happening here in Tampa Bay. Some things that I would argue don't make any sense in real life. So okay, we're looking at a team that's been run first heading into the 49ers game. They were run first on first down in 4 consecutive games. They did pivot away from that against the 49ers, who are really good against the run, but they were also trailing the entire game. So I'm not sure if their passer over expected numbers really tell us that much about how they want to operate. This run first approach on first down generally is setting up Brady for some tough second and third down throws, because the Buccaneers rank 31st in EPA per rush. They have a terrible run game. They keep trying to establish it. I could maybe get this if they were using, I wouldn't, but I'd pretend to, if they were using this threat of the run to do something to open up the passing game. I'm talking about play action, right? You're establishing the run. Now you fake the run, you throw it. But they obviously do that, right? They're doing all this work. They probably use a lot of play action. No, Brady is dead last in play action.
I was gonna say, I can't even picture Tom Brady taking a play action snap this year.
Yeah,
he's not.
Right.
He's not. So why are you doing this? Okay, play action. That's good. You don't have to do play action. The Bengals don't do play action. They're barely doing any play action at all, and they're still great. Joe Burrow's just 34th in play action rate. Not a big deal. But the Bengals operate almost exclusively from the shotgun. So that's probably what's happening in Tampa Bay, right? They just operate nonstop from the shotgun. Nope. They're 12th in shotgun rate. They're not using the shotgun, but they're not anywhere near the leading teams like the Cardinals and the Bengals and actually the Eagles, which is kind of interesting. So they have these plays where they've got Brady under center and he's just like handing it off. He's not ever pretending to hand it off and then not handing it off. He just does it. Nothing good happens. Like, stop doing that. So I don't have any faith in this team. They're now going against the Bengals defense that's weaker against the run than the pass. So they're probably going to get themselves into trouble by running it a bunch inefficiently, setting up Brady for tougher throws on second and third down. It's like the worst possible situation for them. And I don't trust them to figure it out.
No, man. It's even bleaker than I was imagining. That's pretty amazing breakdown of the situation, though. And just, there's no indication. Todd Bowles doesn't want to seem to change. Byron Leftwich doesn't want to seem to change. Tom Brady even doesn't really seem to be saying he wants to do anything differently. Because he is screaming a lot during the games.
Lot of screaming, a lot
he
of
does
yelling.
Scream good.
More than a normal amount of screaming.
Right. It's screaming over expected is off the charts.
He rates number 1 in handsome screams index.
I mean, the guy looks so miserable. My God, I've never seen I watched a lot of Dan Marino in his final seasons. I've seen an unhappy quarterback. I've never seen this. This is unbelievable. He has to get out of that situation.
Yeah, he is.
In the walkthrough, I was defending Brady a little bit because also his receivers aren't getting open at all. They all suck in the open score. They're all terrible. So I'm like defending Brady. I opened the write up by just starting with, look, I first got really into football with the 2001 Raiders. So I'm not a Brady fan. And then obviously I include a GIF of the tuck rule fiasco, which then got me all fired up. Just look, either check out the walkthrough on rotoworld.com or just Google the GIF of the tuck rule. It actually makes me still mad too.
It is a nauseating moment in American sports history.
It's one of the worst plays in NFL history. It's
what's known as a fumble.
That's called a fumble.
Yeah.
It looked like a fumble to me, folks. To 19-year-old me watching that game, looked like a fumble.
And then the Patriots,
if you have 2 hands on a ball and the ball falls out of your hands, probably fumble.
And then the Patriots cheated so bad in Super Bowl 36, they had to change the pass interference rules and the holding rules. That's all I'll say about it.
Yep.
Denny, Rashad White, Leonard Fournette check in. Kerrane informs us they are bad.
They're bad. Yeah. When we talked last week, you said, well, hey, look, at least Rashad White's better than Lenny. No, they're both not good. It probably has something to do with the predictable design and all of the flaws that Kerrane so nicely and thoroughly laid out here. But
topped off with some tuck rule talk. You really do love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good rant overall. But Rashad White is somewhat interesting because of his role in the passing game. He has over his last 3 games, he has 20 receptions and one for a touchdown. Fournette is mixing in and making it so that White doesn't get that full route rate that we would want. But I think the White remains okay in PPR. The Bucs are so bad now that I I can't see them ever playing from ahead. Like,
No.
so I do think that is pretty stable for Rachaad White.
No, man, what a sorry state of affairs. Kyle, the Bengals, they had some receiver chaos behind Jamar Chase last week. It does seem like T. Higgins, knock on wood, famous last words, seems likely to play through his hamstring injury.
Just like he did last week.
Exactly. Tyler Boyd
Godspeed,
seems
King.
likely to play through his finger injury. What's going on in the Bengals receiver corps?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Boyd suffered a dislocated finger last week, but I mean, as all of us know, you dislocate your fingers, you're typing away, one pops out, you put it right back in. Reporters say you're going to miss 1 to 2 weeks and you play through it anyways. They're both getting limited sessions Wednesday and Thursday. That's a pretty strong sign they're playing.
Who
In
was
what
covering the
capacity-
Rotoworld beat these days? I haven't seen anyone around.
I played through one time I had a finger so messed up from a softball injury that I got a freezing cold glass of water and was dipping my hand in it whenever I wasn't typing, and then have to numb it and then typing. And then this, of course, got water all over my keyboard. But
You have that dog in you.
that's not committed I was to the blurb grind, though. That's true.
It's the smallest, most fragile dog you've got in you. Indeed.
You gotta blurb through it.
Yeah, you gotta blurb through it. Yeah, so they're both almost certainly playing. You really don't see players, especially both having played last week. Play is a kind way to describe what T. Higgins did, but he's gonna ruin all of my spreadsheets now because I can't not include that game, I guess,
Yeah,
or
my
I at least have to
gosh.
manually uninclude it. But I think they're both playing, and I do think this is obviously like last week proves this false, but I do think if they're playing, we will see more of them, especially we will see more than one snap or whatever it was from T. Higgins, because the drop off between them and the next receivers on the depth chart is truly atrocious.
Who is the number 4 receiver on the Bengals?
Trenton Irwin, buddy?
Yeah, or Trent
So is
Taylor
this-
in the slot.
Is it still Stanley Morgan?
Oh, that's a good cut. It's Auden Tate. No, I don't think he's on the team anymore.
Mike Thomas, but he's been phased out or hurt.
Mike Thomas might be on a different team now. Maybe not. Stanley Morgan, folks, look it up.
He's still in
Yeah,
my
this game-
spreadsheets, but I haven't seen any
Yeah,
action
this
from him.
game, this game of us trying to name all these little goobers proves the point that I think we will see. And they have no Hayden Hurst, and Mitchell Wilcox has no ability to draw targets despite playing a bunch of snaps. So probably even more reps or more targets for the guys who are on the field. So you're firing them up. I know there's been it feels like Tyler Boyd is like the most stable PPR option, but really when they had Chase, it was just he didn't get the ball that often, but he was so uncovered because they have the best 2 outside receivers in the league, the best duo that is, that he had 2 100-yard games in the first 7 weeks when Jamar Chase was playing. So you're even starting him.
There you go.
I would note just something I found on the walkthrough where Jamar Chase has the highest double coverage rate in the league, and he is seeing a pretty big drop off in his target rate when facing double coverage, but he has a very good ESPN open score. So my thinking on it is, yeah, you don't have to throw to him in double coverage because you have T. Higgins. If you look at Cooper Kupp, he has his target rate is basically the same in double coverage as it was, under all conditions. So
Can't imagine why Matthew Stafford was throwing so many interceptions.
yeah, exactly. But if you think about the best case scenario for Chase is that Higgins is kind of having his reps limited, managed, and Boyd is, not fully himself because he is getting open. If they just start feeding him the ball, which is exactly what they did last week, and he got 15 targets. So I think it's a pretty exciting spot for Chase. You want those guys out there because you want the Bengals confident in passing, but if they're not 100%, things could really funnel to Chase.
Feed him. That's all I have to say. Feed him. I need it so bad this weekend. In a brutally bad game, the Arizona Cardinals and Denver Broncos could be both starting their backup quarterbacks against each other. Russell Wilson did get in a limited practice on Thursday. He might get the call over Brett Rippon. Kerrane, the total, if you can call it that, currently 37. Get us out of here with this game.
It's pretty wild. 37. Colt McCoy
It
ranks
was
dead last.
36. It is risen to 37.
Oh man, who's taking the over? There's some brave people. I guess there's Russell Wilson that might play bet.
No, it's betting on Russell Wilson doesn't play. There's no way someone sees Russell Wilson is playing and is like, yeah.
I'll start with that. Russell Wilson's way better than Brett Rippon. He's 27th in EPA per play, 29th in CPOE. Among quarterbacks with at least 60 plays this season, which isn't a ton, but Brett Rippon has not been looking too good. He's been better than John Wolford, Sam Ehlinger, Skylar Thompson, and Kyle Allen, and that's it. So we don't want Brett Rippon out there if we have any investment in the Broncos somehow in our advancing best ball teams or whatever, which I do because I drafted so many Broncos. It's been horrible. Pray for me. But, you know, I would say the number one guy here is Greg Dulcich, purely because we need to fill tight end somehow. I would play Jeff Driscoll over Greg Dulcich, but in case you don't have access to Driscoll, 12.7 ADOT, which is a 90th percentile ADOT for tight end. Now, this is important because we can't count on passing volume from the Broncos. We don't want, you know, to really want one play, please. That's all. And you can actually get it from Greg Dulcich because he gets targeted deep down the seam. And so maybe we get that play this week. I don't know if we will or not, but maybe. I'm not starting the running backs here. Did I lose you guys? Can you hear me?
No, Kyle's just muted. He was trying to say
something. Sorry, I was saying he is the DJ Moore of tight ends in that. Oh boy, air yards, baby. How many air yards leagues does Underdog do? Like air yards points and lots of them.
They
have some ground to make up.
They should.
Now, Dulcich does score very well in the aesthetics leagues purely because of the lettuce. The lettuce is worth a lot of points.
The aesthetics are good. They're very good.
Yeah. So Greg Dulcich, yes. Jerry Jeudy, meh, because you're burning a wide receiver spot and in this offense where Brett Rippon might be starting. So
if Russell Wilson plays, I think you can play Jerry Jeudy. If not,
I guess. Yeah. It's still not great.
How many tutters did he have last week?
I was on it then. This is not that. Well, yeah, this is actually a pass funnel, so sure, you could start Jeudy if
count one tutter,
if we get Wilson,
2 tutter, 3 tutters. I believe even one of those
was Rippon. 10 toilets, 11 toilets, 12 toilets.
I mean, Russell Wilson, he was a man on a mission. He knows what's at stake.
He does.
He knows he's got to get the touchdowns over 12. He knows that. That's why he's going to play through a concussion this week.
Yeah, it's probably good long term for him.
Yeah. So, is that it?
Too much?
No, I got a couple things. Latavius Murray, 53% snap share last week. Done with him. We're done with Murray.
Yeah, we
are.
are.
No, we never started with Murray.
Hold on.
Now we're
there were 6 teams on by.
I put up a fight on Murray last week, and I was wrong.
There were 6 teams on by last. It was a different time. It was a different era.
It was a different time.
The only running back worse than Melvin Gordon this year is Latavius Murray.
Yeah, it's true.
On the other hand, though, James Conner, snap shares of 96%, 97%, 95% over the last 3 weeks. We can work with that.
Wow.
Only running back 20 in success rate. That's not terrible, though. Mm-hmm. We're not expecting a ton of efficiency here going up against a tough Broncos defense, but they are better against the pass than the run. And we're just getting all the volume. So I think like a volume-based RB1 play for Conner here. I mean, efficiency at the running back position isn't even
Kyle and I talked about that on the podcast earlier this week.
Yeah. If you're getting every single snap, it's not that important. So, like Conner. Colt McCoy, by the way, ranks dead last in EPA per play. He's been.
Is that bad though?
It is bad. Yeah, it's a pretty stable efficiency metric. We don't want to be the least good at it. He's been like decently accurate. So like there is an upside case here. Now that upside case is like Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett level efficiency. So the upside case also gross. And the upside case probably not happening against a Broncos defense that's pretty good against the pass. The other thing is that DeAndre Hopkins is not like a clear-cut number one with Marquise Brown back in the lineup. He's still seeing plenty of targets and everything, but they've both seen 16 first-read targets over the last 2 weeks. That's pretty good.
Wow.
8 per game is pretty good. They're right around 20% in terms of first-read target rate, which is also pretty good. But like Hopkins was absolutely elite previously. He's fallen off from that. And I'm not that interested if he's just going to be kind of like a 1A type with Colt McCoy against the Broncos. I think he's still a wide receiver too, but
Yeah, I think he's still a wide receiver because I think Colt McCoy, DeAndre Hopkins can play underneath. Marquise Brown, I guess, was kind of compiling earlier in the year, but it doesn't seem like Colt McCoy is going to unlock any deep Marquise Brown attempts. But So I think you can have DeAndre Hopkins still comfortably ahead of Marquise Brown in the fantasy rankings, to be honest.
I do too. Yeah, and
Banner
it's
to be
like
hung.
it's kind of like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith-ish, I think, in terms of like the split, and then Hopkins would be the AJ Brown there, but with a quarterback of Colt McCoy.
Yeah, man, who was in college when I was in college. Seems like a poor sign.
Couldn't be me.
When Texas was in the Big 12. Could not be Kyle.
It couldn't have been you.
Yeah, no, literally.
I'm gonna start saying couldn't be me for like things that literally couldn't be. Like, oh, I was in Texas last week. Couldn't be me. I don't live in Texas.
Who's this smart baby here?
This guy knows what I'm talking about. I think we all know what we're talking about when we say the show is over. And tell you what, it started off kind of long. I didn't know if we'd make it to our normal hour and 24 minutes that somehow is every single week, but we did.
But we did it.
You piloted us, man. You got us there.
I did all I could. I'm also feeling very sleepy. Again, Denny, by the way, I've always felt very reassured every time you said you could barely tell I was sick over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So-
no, barely. When you called me and had to clear your throat for 15 minutes before we even said one word to each other, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I did a good job hiding it, so I appreciate that. No, I certainly didn't talk about it at all. No, so thank you so much for listening. Please check out the website. We got Kyle's 32 stats. We have Denny's funneling article that should be out by the time you're listening to this. We, of course, have Patrick Kerrane's walkthrough, one of the essential weekly reads in the entire fantasy industry that I hear is a little behind on since buys are over. So, Pat, we're all thinking of you. We're all rooting for you.
I got as much done to this point as I did last week, which should be fine, right?
It should be fine.
Your target share was the same. It was just the pie.
Yeah, that's right.
The walkthrough will be out on Friday. Please check it out. It's an amazing read. Check out my rankings, which I will keep updated between now and kickoffs on Sunday morning. There's 3 Saturday games this week. My God, man.
Yeah.
Just give us a break for like 2 seconds.
At least they're doing it. They're not doing this to us on Christmas yet.
Hey, at least for Saturday, at least Matt Ryan's playing.
Let's go. Oh, short slate Matt Ryan.
Yeah, something to look forward
What a
to.
Saturday.
Look out.
Got a nice little Saturday planned.
Yes, we do. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for reading. For Pat Kerrane, for Denny Carter, for Kyle Dvorchak, I'm Patrick Daugherty. We will be back later.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.